Alright, Travis Wayne Goodsell. I just had lunch and watched one of my all-time top favorite movies, Contact. Jodie Foster's version, not the new Amy Adams version. I guess it's not a reboot or a remake. It's different all the way. So the reason why, if you haven't seen the movie, is Jodie Foster is a astrophysicist who is searching the heavens for contact, human contact, alien contact. And the reason why is because of both her parents dying, and she's been led to believe, according to the religions of the world, that when we die on Earth, our souls, spirits, go to heaven, out in outer space. And so that's why she's dedicated her life to science, which is a rebellion against religion, but is still searching the heavens for her parents, which religion taught her is where they would have gone. So there's a little bit of a conflict there between science and religion. And the contact that is made is a signal from Vega, and they find that there's blueprints to design a machine, and nobody knows what will happen. And there was also a signal of Adolf Hitler at the opening of the Olympics way back when, the first televised version. And so the government, concerned about the elitism of Nazi Germany and Hitler, used their elitist government powers to suppress her as the leader of the building project. And so yeah, they build it, and a Utahn, a religious fanatic from Utah, causes its destruction. Good times. And so then, of course, they had a second one built, and she gets to go on that one, and everybody else sees her go straight through to the ocean floor. And so they have a trial. They put her on trial. Because they don't believe her that she was gone for 18 hours, as she thought she was gone for 18 hours. And turns out they were withholding information, facts, evidence from the court hearing. And there were 18 hours of videotape that it was just no blur, no picture whatsoever. So the fact wasn't that they didn't have any evidence as they thought, but in reality they did. 18 hours of recording, which she said that she had been gone for about 18 hours, and when all they saw was her going straight through to the bottom. And so they withheld that information from her, even when they knew in the confidential report. So yeah, there's some clear communication that's going on there for all of us to learn from in regards to religion versus science, and the need for facts and evidence versus just feelings and opinions and beliefs and faith. And yeah, as we get to the last days, we have everybody having their own opinion about what's going on, how it's all going to happen. And they're using their religious background, but at the same time they're rebelling against their religious background. And so yeah, it's very applicable to what's going on today and tonight, 10:12 Utah time, the sign of the moon. I thought it was last year because Monson died. President Monson of the LDS Church died 29 days before, and I'd already confirmed that lunar eclipses correspond with deaths of LDS leaders, because I was noticing way back, Elder Faust was the first one that I made the connection with. He died in August, after the lunar eclipse that occurred in August. And then Hinckley died in January 27th and February 20th, lunar eclipse. And so, yeah, I knew that there was the connection. And yeah, 2008, I thought that was my final year, because nobody was helping me in Utah to get my kids back, and they were attacking me instead of helping me get my kids back. The purest form of corrupt government here in Utah. And so yeah, let's find out when Contact came out, because I believe it came out right after the divorce on DVD. Contact movie, Jodie Foster. Alright, yeah, 97. Sure enough. Okay, so what's going on here? Having some size problems here. Yep, 1997. Yep. Right after she left me. Took her kids away out of the country, which is called kidnapping. But the state of Utah and in the federal government, they don't call it kidnapping anymore. The parent is fully authorized to screw over the rights of the other parent, with no crime attached. So, yeah. So instead, the state of Utah came after me as the horrible terrorist, deadbeat dad, and psychopath. And so yeah, they even talk of psychiatry in here. When she's on trial, can't remember the guy's name. Carl Sagan had a novel. It was based on Carl Sagan's novel, huh? Alright. But, yeah, the guy that led the prosecution against her said that she was having self-reinforcing delusions. And, so in other words, he was calling her crazy, mad, insane. That she was a a terrorist in the sense of trying to con and scam the whole world. So yeah, that's how evil people cover up the truth, is by accusing those who know the truth of all sorts of evil, all sorts of crime, all sorts of horrors. And so yeah, but this was also a time when Stargate came out, so that's why they had a movie with Wormhole in outer space. But there's no see, because science is pulling a fast one on us also, because they come up with all these theories, as they call them, but none of their theories can be tested for confirmation. You know, the wormhole theory, the Big Bang, and evolutionary theory. Not evolution, but the theory of evolution. There's a big difference between the two, because the theory of evolution says that we came not only from monkeys, but from organisms, and then we became fishes, or worm, bugs, insects, and then we became fishes, and then we became mammals, and then chimps, and such forth and so ever. What's interesting is 23andMe, the DNA analysis, they don't tell me which chimpanzee family I come from. They don't do that. They go back far beyond 6,000 BC, or 4,000, well, yeah, 6,000 too. 6,000 years ago. But they don't tie me to any kind of animal life form. And you'd think that if our DNA confirms the theory of evolution, because it confirms evolutionary theory, just not the theory of evolution, you'd think that it would point out on 23andMe that which monkey family I belong to. Monkey! I think it's a Simpsons episode where somebody says monkey and then the guy goes, monkey! But yeah, it's now used as a racial slur to call somebody a monkey. You know, I grew up on Curious George, you know, silly little monkey. And when you're reading it to little kids, kids go through phases, and one of the phases is they imitate things they like. And so animals, they'll imitate animals, and they'll pretend that they're an animal. And so if they like Curious George, they want to imitate Curious George, then they will say, I'm a monkey. And it's harmless. But when white elitists like to refer to blacks as subhuman creatures and not real humans, that's what they'll refer to them as monkeys. And it's weird, because the white elitists believe in the theory of evolution, but they don't accept that they came from monkeys also. But yet, according to 23andMe, nobody came from monkeys. We are separate and distinct as humans, even though we go back, mega back. So yeah, it's weird. So yeah, I've told you in other videos, and I did a report on it, or blogged on it on my website, My maternal side comes from Egypt, and my paternal side comes from Mesopotamia. And interestingly, for those of you who are familiar with Noah and his 3 sons, the 3 sons separating themselves, which, why would they separate themselves? They're a family. Why wouldn't they stick together? But yet they spread themselves many miles away from each other. And that's because the post-captivity Jew writing this, the story, doesn't understand that what he's actually referring to is the 3 human sources that we all come from today. Neanderthals being Japheth, and then there's the African one, I forget the names. There was a YouTube video that discussed all 3 names, and at the end pointed out that there's a 4th potential one out in the Philippines, but he didn't get much into that because there's not much evidence on them. Yeah, 3 main pairs of which all of us descend from, and according to 23andMe, the white elitist Europeans, the Neanderthals, I have the least amount, and not just the least amount. I have below average from others who have taken 23andMe. So, yeah, I'm more Egyptian than Neanderthal. So, yeah, if you think you're a white elitist, get your DNA tested. You're going to be horrified at the results you'll find. But you won't be from a monkey. Nobody's from a monkey. So that's the one frustrating thing with science. They have the ability to establish the truth, but instead they use it to pursue a religious fiction. You know, so it makes for great movies such as Stargate and Contact, but yeah, you got to be able to replicate. If you say that there's a wormhole, you got to be able to replicate it. If you can't replicate it, you can't come up with the theory. It's not a theory if you can't replicate it. Alright, so yeah, I guess we can see how my videos are doing. If you notice, I do a lot of coughing. That's because I have breathing problems. When I was a Boy Scout, we went to a camp, and there was a swing, or just a rope hanging from the trees, and it was in a little, I don't know what you call it, valley, and the boys would take turns swinging on the rope, and I had my turn, and I was going across, and all of a sudden I lost my grip, and I fell 20 or 30 feet, landed flat on my back. Ever since that time, I've had breathing problems. They didn't take me to the hospital. They climbed down and got to me and said, "Are you all right?" And, "Oh, okay, you're fine. Let's not tell anybody about this, and we're gonna not let anybody else do it." Okay, so yeah, I also did the Trump, the last president, predicts LDS church collapse tonight. It's just unreal. If you haven't seen that episode, you gotta find the episode and watch it. It's just unbelievable. A guy named Trump, who's bald and is threatening the end of the world, but claims that if you pay him to build a wall, he will save you. It's just, oh man. Okay, so there's only 3. Alright, so the Old Testament, nobody's interested in Old Testament prophecies. Alright, well, it could also be because everybody's in church right now. And with an hour missing, people are not getting as bored in searching the internet to distract them from the boring lessons and speeches and blah, blah, blah. But the Torah prophecies, they're doing fairly well so far. One day and we're at 74. But LDS Mormon God's wrath to destroy firstborn of Pharaoh. That's at 82 in the same time frame. Alright, so yeah, today's stuff is not doing as good yet, so we'll have to wait and see when people get home from church. Alright, but yeah, countdown of sign of LDS church collapse, 92 in 10 hours. So before people went to church, we got people watching. So yeah, tonight, just as Trump said in the video clip, tonight is the end of the world. But yeah, what do you think the scriptures are talking about? Jesus himself said, the sun and the moon will be darkened. It's got to be one of them someday, right? So once we know the date from John chapter 12 or Revelations chapter 12, then we know which sun and moon sign they are. And this is it. So it's that simple. So yeah, I keep pushing you guys. Watch it tonight. You know, like the lunar eclipse or solar eclipse. Watch it. Make sure you get the right glasses and not be a dummy like Trump was. Oh, look at that. Oh, I'm blind. Oh. Alright. So a needle pulling thread. Yeah. So, yeah. Like I said, with the movie Contact, you got to be able to replicate. That's why I'm checking with each indication of lunar and solar eclipses. Are the ancients correct? They're the ones who figured this out originally. And so I needed to test it. Are they right? And Faust, yep, okay, he did. Hinckley, oh, wow, yeah, he did too. Right close together. And then I am freed from my captivity, and I find out, oh, wow, there's another one. But wait, nothing happened. Nobody died. Then the second one. Wait, nobody died. Then the third one. Oh my goodness, what's going on here? Then 3 people die. And so I knew, oh, okay, I get it. Tetrad is different than just a regular, isolated, total lunar eclipse. So, and then we had Monson. Same pattern. And so then, with the solar eclipse, I knew the government was toast. The United States was toast. And yet people kept trying to give Trump a chance to prove himself. And nobody would listen to me, that he was going to destroy the United States, thinking, oh no, he's not going to destroy the United States. Nobody is that evil. You know? Guess what? They are that evil. He is that evil. Because he's under control of Putin. And now Nelson is under control of Putin. There would be no need for the last days Messiah if they were good. Even if the church leader was good and Trump was bad, there still would not be a need for the last days Messiah. Both have to be corrupt. And as the Book of Mormon talks about, to the point of no return, basically. So, yeah, tonight is the sign of the collapse of the religion, just as the solar eclipse was the sign of the collapse of the government. The two work together. That's why they were prophesied by Jesus himself in the Gospels. Sun will be darkened, moon turned to blood. That's what they were talking about. And just as, at the time of Christ, you have the destruction of the temple, and thus the need for a restoration of the religion, rebuilding of the temple, the establishment of the kingdom. And Jesus was supposed to be that restorer, but he died, so it's not him. Then Joseph Smith. Joseph Smith believed he was that person and tried to establish the temple again and wanted to establish the kingdom. That's what Missouri was all about. Excuse me. And then he died. So Mormons aren't putting two and two together. They're not catching on. They're not connecting the dots. There are patterns that continue in history, and you've heard about it. If those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And now we have Nazi Germany here in the United States. I mean, what are we waiting for? What line are we waiting for Trump to cross before we say, okay, that's going too far? Is it when federal employees start dropping dead from lack of food because charities have run out of food supplies for them? They can't supply the federal employees forever because the charities get donations. And when those donations run out, so do the charity for the federal officers. And they've been warning year after year, especially during Christmas time. Christmas time is when we need it the most, but we've been running behind throughout the year. We need you guys to keep donating year after year after year. That's not a good economic system. We shouldn't rely on charities to keep humans alive, because what that means is that we, the people, get taxed in the form of giving to charity. And when those charities aren't able to help, it's a collapsed economy. And so what we have with the church, the LDS church, they have their own independent food making process, welfare square. And yet they refuse to help the poor and the needy, to elevate them out of poverty. And so, yeah, if you think that the church is being kind and charitable, godly, Christ-like, whatever, giving less than 1% is not good. That's a cover-up. That's a what do you call it? A promotional scam. I can't think of the Hollywood term for it. So, alright guys, I'm 30 minutes here, so I don't want to go too long on this. But watch tonight, Utah, 10:12 p.m. and adjust the time according to where you live in the United States.